have we learned about the Pacers so far this season, both in terms of this year and what it means for future seasons? Kyle Taylor and I talk about that, some wing rotation questions we have about the Pacers, and what to make of Bennedict Mathurin's recent games. It's all coming today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East. I cover the team for Forbes and Circle City Spin, and today, a fun, wide-ranging conversation with Kyle Taylor, diving in to many aspects of the Pacers, including a core question about 2 months into the season that mattered a lot heading into the year. What have we actually learned about this team, about Nembhard in a new position, about Mathurin with a bigger role, about Jarris Walker and Ben Sheppard playing much more consistently, Johnny Furphy, same thing, and all sorts of other things. Fair warning, not a lot of optimism spilled out of our mouths in today's episode. Plus, we talk about the wing rotation, who is playing more or less than other guys. Is that the right choice for the Pacers? And then we end with a longer discussion about Bennedict Mathurin and his play of late. Why does it feel different than it did earlier in the season? We both have our theories. A lot of fun today. Kyle's the best. Let's just get right to it. A big point of this season for the Pacers was learning. Have they learned anything? We'll dive into that today. We'll talk about the wing rotation because I have a question about the minutes distribution of late. And we'll also talk, finally, as I've mentioned a million times, about Ben Mathurin's last couple games recently. And joining me to do that, escaping the hellish background you normally see behind him on the Pacers Recap Live Show with Derek Kramer of iPacersblog, it's Kyle Taylor, back for the first time since before the season, I believe. Kyle, hello, how are you?
Tony, I was hoping the season would go quite a bit differently than it has gone, but it's good to see you, and I'm glad to be back.
Well, the hope was the first thing we're going to be talking about today would be a little bit more positive, let's say, than it has been so far, which is a lot of this season was about learning about Pacers players in either bigger or different roles. Ben Mathurin with more usage, Andrew Nembhard as the lead initiator, Aaron Nesmith with a few more touches here and there, the centers at all in their roles. Jarris Walker, your guaranteed minutes every night. Ben Sheppard, you might actually be having to dribble a little bit. I could go on and on. Those are the main ones. And using that information to then output who should be playing a lot when the Pacers are good again, when Tyrese Haliburton's back, who should be on the team in that exact same environment, who could potentially be in line for a bigger role when veterans age out at other positions, which you can decide who is and isn't a veteran yourself. You get the picture of why they want to know this information. So even if they were 6-20, but they felt really good and solid about the information they had gotten, it wouldn't be so bad, which is my obvious way of leading you to say that they haven't learned a lot given how much they've been hurt. And none of the stuff that I feel like they have learned has been like, oh, awesome. Do you agree with that general overview before we get into any specifics of players?
Oh, yeah, I agree. And I might be even more pessimistic than you.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's been tough, right? Like pockets of good Jarris here, pockets of Ben Sheppard finally make shots there. Andrew Nembhard had some good lead point guard games. Ben Mathurin, he was the guy for a while. We'll talk about him later. That I was like, okay, Ben Mathurin looks better and in important ways. His true shooting is up because he's making more shots. His defense looks a little better. I've seen 2 or 3 good passes from him every game, but even that has faded out a little bit. So, broadly, Kyle, what have you learned, if anything?
Before the season started, I made a list, player by player, of things I wanted to see. I'm not going to run through them all, but I want to paint the picture. For Andrew Nembhard, I wrote down pull-up shots. Dire, he's the worst high-volume pull-up jump shooter in the NBA. Ben Mathurin, I wanted to know if he got pulled off top defensive assignments. He never even starts on them, and when he gets them, it doesn't go well, so nope, 0 for 2. Aaron Nesmith, is there more off the dribble game? No, off 2 dribbles this year. His effective field goal percentage is 27%.
But hey, he's doing it more
dribbles.
He's doing it more.
He is. You know what? Unlike some people who I have named or who we will talk about, Aaron Nesmith at least knew the assignment. He went into the season and was like, I need to dribble the ball and shoot after I dribble. And he took the ball to the basket and he missed. And he missed and he missed and he missed, but he kept trying. And that is a lesson that other people on the team could learn. A fearlessness, an attitude, a force, to use my Rick Carlisle-isms. that Jarris Walker and Ben Shepherd have not adopted.
Whoa. I think one of those players has been fearless, mostly.
In what way?
Ben Shepherd's driving a lot.
Okay.
He can't make anything.
Yeah.
Like
fair.
Painfully so.
Process for Ben Shepherd better than execution. Process and execution for Jarris are a catastrophe.
Yeah. Yeah, Shep's problem is that I always characterized him as this mistake-free player. And so he'd explore the space and you're like, good, there you go. But that causes mistakes, which is takes it away, attracts a lot of the appeal.
Yeah, months ago, I was on your show and I called myself the Czar of Zany, and I wanted to see the Pacers try all of these new things. And they've been too injured to try a lot of new things. But the truth is, both in their choices and in their execution, it has not quite gone the way I would want it to go. I'm setting the injuries aside. Ben Mathurin needs to get more time on top assignments as a defensive player. I don't think his defense has been good. I don't care. I need to see it happen. Jarris Walker needs to see the court. Johnny Furphy needs to see the court.
We will get to that, sir. Yes.
Is it going to go well? Not really. But this is what has to happen because of what the season has become about. And we're far enough in the season that I think we can say what this has become about is learning and learning alone. There's nothing at the end of the yellow brick road. This is just like a journey to nowhere. And we are trying to learn something at all at the end of it. At least that's my opinion. A lot of the information we've learned is we need Tyrese Haliburton desperately.
I think we knew that one.
And it turns out that
more than we thought, though.
But the Celtics, did they need Jason Tatum as bad as the Pacers needed Tyrese Haliburton?
Well, it turns out when Nehemiah Queta turns into Wilt Chamberlain, they don't actually need Jason Tatum as much as we all maybe thought that they did.
Yeah, but I've been rambling player by player. Tony, I feel like we need some orientation here. Big picture, is there enough new information for the Pacers to make decisions? The center position strikes me as a big picture area where it was like we knew coming in probably it wasn't going to be enough. We haven't gotten enough.
Well, that's ironic. That's the position they have, but that one they kind of already knew, right? I think that they hoped maybe that one of them would be like a clear starter level guy, and they both like Huff's been good recently. Isaiah Jackson did not get enough credit. Now that it's been 2 days, I'm going to do this for being the only guy to give a rat at all against the Wizards. He was good. He was going for it the whole time. He had a double-double. It never spread. The vibe never got from him to anyone else, and that's got to suck. Like he was going for it. He's all hot about calls that were wrong. Good for you, Isaiah Jackson. Regardless, him and J Huff are backups. That's fine. They're NBA players, but they're backups. They've learned that. We kind of knew that. I agree, though, that everything else that they would hope to make decisions off of is tough to actually characterize. And injuries make it almost more frustrating because I think it'd be easy for optimists about all these people. Let's start with Andrew Nembhard, for example, because his, I think, is the easiest to lay out. Would go, well, yeah, maybe he hasn't shown the point guard caretaking, lead ball handler pop to like guide a high level offense, but how can you expect him to do so? He hasn't played it. Has he played a single game with Obi Toppin? No, right? He hasn't. He hasn't played it with Obi at all. He played with Aaron for 2.5 games, right? Like, how can you expect to learn anything? And that's true. And I still think that I personally would like to see that a little bit, but I don't know how much they'd actually get out of it. And you could say that about a lot of stuff, like what would Mathurin look like doing what you've described, although defensively you can take that on with anybody around you. You know, all these guys, you could say that with better players around them, or if they were one spot down on the totem pole, would they look good trying all these new skills or playing better? That's what the optimist would say, but I only think that's fair for some players so far this season. And so the reason you want to know these things is, you know, TJ McConnell's still playing fine enough, but eventually he's not. And so you need to know, can Andrew Nembhard be the backup one when that happens? You know, can Jarris step into the backup 3 or 4 and Obi goes up to the backup 5 if they need to do something different at center than they thought, right? And they don't know any of that still, and it makes making any decisions very hard.
I might disagree. I mean, we've seen Andrew Nembhard, like solo Andrew Nembhard point guard minutes every year for the past 3 years. And I mean, we're reaching the point where it's just like, no, he can have his good moments, but consistency is what I really want to return to. Obviously, there are high highs. We just watched a game where he missed his first 11 shots straight. So the point only here is that can Andrew Nembhard lead a playoff contending team, and it's going to like stay above water when Tyrese Haliburton is out? No, I don't think so. And that's okay. He's a very good player. He's a terrific fit with Tyrese Haliburton. But the Pacers, if there's new information about him, It was moving in this direction anyway. TJ McConnell is getting older. It's time for the Pacers in this next offseason, and maybe even in this season, if something materializes out of nowhere, to get another point guard. I know that means
you're Brett yesterday. Yep.
Yeah, you're talking about having 4 point guards or point guard-y people on the team. I don't care. TJ's getting old. Tyrese is going to miss time because every guy coming off an Achilles misses time. And Nembhard by the way, is just not. It's for me at least. We have enough information to say no.
I do agree that that's probably the right answer. The reason I teeter away from that a little bit is the last 2 years they've been like about 500, a little under that, right? Without Tyrese. And it's like, we know they can be better than this, that's why I understand what you're saying, but that's why I kind of land on incomplete more so than learn about full disappointment, but a lot of it has been challenging. I do agree.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, we're talking about the worst. He's worse than Russell Westbrook this year. Andrew Nembhard is a pull.
Been good. That's not a bad thing to say.
Russell Westbrook is the 3rd worst pull-up jump shooter in the NBA this season.
Oh, that specific thing, yes. Okay.
Yes. He's a worse pull-up jump shooter than Russell Westbrook. I mean, the on-off splits, even if you don't believe that they're as bad as they are extreme. He's in like the 7th percentile, meaning like hundreds and hundreds of NBA players have better on-off splits than him. The team is 15 points worse, roughly, when he's off the floor or when he's on the floor than when he's off. And you don't have to take, that's not like, God's honest truth. But the point is that we have seen the Andrew Nembhard without Tyrese Haliburton experience, in my opinion, at least, enough times to know that, yes, here and there you can get a really special game. But mostly Andrew Nembhard is best keeping the offense moving, not looking for his own shot, taking in rhythm catch and shoot threes, not pull-ups. And that's okay.
He's a very good combo guard.
Very good. He's very good. Unlike some of the other players we're going to get to, no, we're not learning positive new information about him, but his role on the team is so secure that that's just like, okay, we can do something with this. I mean, other guys on the team, when we get to the wing rotation, when we talk about Ben Mathurin, there is a little bit more, from like friction to outright problems as far as can this player fit on the team when Tyrese Haliburton is back.
Yeah, Jarris is fighting for like a role, period. Like playing any minute at all for the Pacers beyond this season, right? You could even argue that same thing for Shepherd. Maybe they're competing with each other, and it's been like, well, does it matter? Like, maybe Shep's been good in the playoffs before. That's great, but it's tough. It's been tough for a lot of guys. Go ahead. With those two, Shepherd and
Walker, we're approaching the point, and this is a point I think we'll reach probably when we know what the Pacers draft pick is, but if the front office gets there sooner, I won't blame them. We're approaching the point with those two where I would worry that they would be taking minutes away from other young guys. And that sucks. For Jarris in particular, Shep, I'm more optimistic. I feel like I'm reaching when I use that word. I'm slightly less desperately negative about Ben Shepherd's play than Jarris Walker's, but for Jarris, it really is like, if the Pacers have a very good, probably they'll have a top 10 pick in the draft. Possibly it'll be top 5. And if they have another young player on the team, whether they acquire that player through the draft or a trade, that player is probably going to deserve to play ahead of Jarris Walker. 100%. And, and so what information are we learning? We're learning that it's going like put up or shut up is kind of in the past. It may just be time to move on and create an opportunity for someone else.
Jarris has had a weird season where like he's had good moments clearly where it's like, okay, maybe he's putting it together, but his lows are like, unfortunately, spectacularly bad. Like very obvious in your face kind of plays where it's like he doesn't know what he's doing. He throws a horrible pass. It's just like, man, you watch
the home broadcast sometimes, right?
Every road game I do. Well, when I rewatch games,
Quinn Buckner cares what more about bricking for chicken, or is he more out on Jarris Walker?
Quinn is delightful.
I think he cares more about bricking for chicken, but it might be close. I have never heard him be this out on a player this quickly.
Well, that actually appropriately transitions me to the next thing, because a big part, even still at 6-20, in fact, you said it, probably exclusive goal rest of season is learn about your players. in different roles and different combinations and whatever that may be. You should still, play whoever you want. If you were learning that makes it worth. Everybody, quick breaks. We could talk about Skims. When Skims announced they're making underwear for men, the reaction made perfect sense. People have been talking about Skims comfort for years. Most guys, though, stick to whatever they've been buying since college. The same fits, the same waistbands that roll, and a whole lot of settling. Skims men's changes all that. One upgrade, it's obvious why everybody's been talking. I have 5 pairs now of Skims men's underwear, and I get the hype. They're designed to feel good. They fit right. They stay put. They don't slip. They don't sag. I don't need to adjust all day. Great underwear that makes you feel confident and comfortable. So many different types that people like. The cotton 5-inch, the stretch 5-inch, the cotton 3-inch, the stretch 3-inch. The fit in the fabric. They're soft. They're supportive. They don't ride up. They don't lose their shape. Exactly where they're supposed to on the thigh. Whether you're working, traveling, working out, or just hanging out at home, they feel better than anything that you've used before. So shop Skims Men's now at skims.com. When you place your order, choose podcast in the post-purchase survey and select our show from the drop-down to let them know we sent you. Plus, Skims Holiday Shop is open. So if you're looking for the perfect gift this season, Skims has you covered. So here's what happened over the weekend, Kyle, that made me go, I have to talk about this as a segment on Locked On Pacers. The Pacers went to Philly and played the Sixers. Ethan Thompson started at the 2/3, whatever you want to call it, and played 33 minutes, 32:46 to be clear. And off the bench, Garrison Matthews played 23 minutes and 22 seconds. In the same game, Jarris Walker, who hasn't played well to be clear, played 18 minutes, and Johnny Furphy played 101 seconds, a minute 41. The following 2 days later, the Pacers played the Washington Wizards. Ethan Thompson started and played 24 minutes. Off the bench, Garrison Matthews with 18 minutes and 37 seconds. Jarris Walker, who played very well to start that game, deserved a little more time. He played 22 minutes. That's more than Garrison Matthews. Johnny Furphy played 13 and a half. I understand on merit of who has played the best. Somehow what they've done is correct. They have made the correct choices, with that being the rubric. If you're playing the best you'll play is not like a bad way to determine who plays. I'm going to put that to the side for a second. But it does strike me as odd in a season clearly about learning about your assets in particular that Garrison Matthews and Ethan Thompson, and maybe you can count Ethan Thompson as young, he's 26, are playing more than Johnny Furphy and Jarris Walker. Does that also sit wrong with you?
So this is my orienting question. This is the question I need an answer from. Rick Carlisle, I'm looking at you. Is there any possibility, any at all, for the players we are talking about to impact winning on a contending team in the future? And if the answer is no, or almost certainly no, then I need you respectfully to sit them. Garrison Matthews, that's you. I'm sorry.
That's interesting. I might be able to say right now he has the highest chance of any of those 4.
He at least, I will at least say that his shooting threat can open the floor for other people.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a real thing. That is a real thing. Ethan Thompson contributing to the next contending version of the Pacers. I mean, I'm like making faces here. Johnny Furphy, you had the same. I had the same reaction as you. I was looking at the minutes played for the same reason. Since Johnny Furphy has returned, he's played 57 minutes, and Garrison Matthews has played 94. I just don't know what we're doing. The everything that I just said, and I sort of framed myself as someone who's close to being completely out on Jarris Walker. Everything I just said notwithstanding, you have to give the players who could maybe, possibly in some small universe, positively impact winning when Tyrese Haliburton is back. You have to give those players the court now. And in the just like small chance that things work out for them, it will have been maybe because they got the opportunity today. And the players who are around now, who are just, again, set injuries aside, who are not just filling in for injury reasons, but who are like rostered and here they are, Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If these players, we agree, just have no or little to no chance of positively impacting a future winning version of the Pacers, I don't get it at all. Not at all, Tony. I mean, I texted you after I saw Garrison Matthews starting against Chicago. I don't get it. I don't get it. You were going to defend Garrison Matthews. Obviously, we're both.
You already said it. You already made the defense for me. I don't have to do it now.
Well, okay, but Are Ethan Thompson then? Are you going to say that ET needs to phone home and go home and get away from the team?
No. Okay. Interesting rebuttal. So here's what has happened before. Like Garrison Matthews is the best of the four, maybe right now. Does that by default give him the best chance of contributing to a contender in a year? Right?
I mean, obviously it's dire enough that I have to think about it, which sucks. I wish Johnny Furphy had a jump shot that had like an arc.
Yeah, his shot is
like
not
a straight line.
He has the last 2 games he's played, maybe 3. I've been like, there we go. Johnny Furphy defensive plays. That's good. He finally has a thing that is keeping him on the floor, because his first couple of games back, I was like, oh, he's got to do something more than what he's done.
Listen, I mean, there are only so many ways I can say this, but I have not agreed. I have understood when, again, if we rewind a month and a half and the team was just racked with injuries, I'm not talking about Mac McClung here, because like you just have to get anyone who can like dribble a basketball into the building. But we have like completely reached the point where where I believe the Pacers need to be thinking about their future completely. And so when they play players who have little or no chance of being on even on the team, on a future version of the team that's any good, over young players who it could maybe possibly slightly work out for, it's just like I'm just like, absolutely not. I have no patience for it at all.
Maybe Garrison Matthews is like the line, right? What is the percent chance that you are better than Garrison Matthews October 20th of next year, right? And if the answer is, I don't know, pick your number, then that player should be playing more than him. With no offense to Garrison Matthews, who has shot it well enough the last 2 contracts he's been on that it's like clear why he's playing and what value he adds to a team. And by the way, the classic test of I don't even know if I've ever talked about this, Kyle. The classic test of NBA player success is when they are acquired by a new team, how does the old fan base feel about no longer having them? And for Cody Martin and Jeremiah Robinson-Earl, I heard nothing from their old teams about when the Pacers signed Garrison Matthews, multiple Hawks fans replied to my tweets and were like, it sucks we lost Gary Bird. He's going to be awesome for the Pacers. And I was like, okay, that doesn't mean that thing to me. I'm not saying he's better than these players. And I, to be clear, I brought up this subject because the minutes sat wrong to me, but I do think there's a route for him to clearly be the most impactful of these 4 players next season. I don't know what to make of Ethan Thompson at all. He's kind of like an aside of this quartet because he's been good. I think he's shooting a little too much. Like he took 10 shots in Philly and I was like, okay, I get they're all wide open, but like that's too many. 10 is too many. But he has played well. He's defended okay. He doesn't mess up very much. Like he should play. I don't know what the chance that he is contributing, and I think they should try to find out. Keep playing him and find out. And that's the same answer for Jarris and Johnny. Play them and find out. Figure out how good they can be, or by February 6th or whatever, if they're not going to be, right? And you have to know. You have to know. And so until then, you should be leaning into the young guys. After that, if you feel like you know your answer, okay, play Garrison Matthews more than them, whatever. Like there's a chance he helps. But for the next month and a half, for sure, I think that they have to rebalance those minutes a little bit.
I think the Garrison Matthews line is probably correct. And Jeremiah Robinson-Earl is like kind of a complete basketball player in every respect except putting the ball in the basket.
Putting the ball through the net.
Yes. Very important, it turns out. But in all other respects,
I would have kept him. Did I tell you that? I would have kept him over Matthews myself.
I liked him as well. The same, but in both cases, it's like the same line, like the Garrison Matthews, Jeremiah Robinson-Earl line, because if those guys are having to contribute on the Pacers next year, it either means that the injury situation is quite bad or the Pacers are not very good. And so I agree with you.
Could be a 10th man on a good team.
10th. Sure.
See also Doug McDermott on the Pacers 2 years ago, but probably a little better than that.
Doug McDermott on the Pacers 2 years ago was one of my least favorite experiences.
That infuriated every fan. Every single one. Hated
It was
that.
awful. I mean, he was playing over. Jarris is who I wanted to see the court at the time.
Yep.
I have not forgiven Rick for this, or that really I should not forgive the front office who signed him. Should never have never
Traded for
him.
Traded for him.
Sure. Yeah.
Unbelievable mistake, Kyle.
I have a long memory for things that don't matter at all.
Boy, do I never forget a transaction. So, yay. I'm so glad these take up space in my brain. One more break here, guys. Got to talk about two awesome groups of people. First up is Game Time. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994. And with 48 teams for the first time ever, it's going to be massive. But let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's why the Game Time app is clutch. Finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats with Game Time. You can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts power back in your hands. It makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. Just pull up the app. The Let will make it so simple to scroll through matchups, compare seat views, pick a game, tap a section, have your tickets loaded within minutes. The seat view feature is a game changer. You see exactly what the picture look like. The prices are up front. There's no surprises at the end. Alerts for teams and matches you want to see. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and all tickets, every match, concert, event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off on Game Time. We also got to tell you guys about Robinhood. Nobody knows your money goals better than you. Robinhood puts you in control of your money with tools that work as hard as you do, locking in on every opening, beating your PR, beating it again. Channel that drive you put into other things into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. You can trade stocks and ETFs and options, futures, crypto, whatever, all right on one platform. You can build and execute your own trades from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All right, we've talked about most of the players in the learning space for the Pacers, except for one, and that's one Bennedict Mathurin, who I brought up on the trade show yesterday with Rhett, and people hated that I brought him up, but he's going to be a huge talking point for the next month and a half. It's going to happen. And his last 5 games have been the first time when I've seen fans go, what's going on? What is happening with Ben Mathurin? Which is really interesting, because in those last 5 games were a 28-point on 16 shot game in Chicago that looked quite good, and a 25-point game against the Kings on 14 shots where he looked quite good. But it has felt different, like undeniably to me. And I even said that after Denver, the first game of the 5 on that post-game podcast I did, I said, Ben Mathurin's stat night is nice here. I think is not great here. He had 15 and 7 or something, but I think he played well despite not reaching, some of the statistical thresholds he's reached. But since then, it hasn't felt the same. It's felt different than that. I have my own theory on this that I would talk about a little bit. Some of it's usage-based, which is kind of obvious, but just zoom out generally, or maybe you can get specific as you want, I guess. Like, does it feel different to you of late? And if it does, why do you think that's the case?
Yes, it feels different. And this is I'm going to be so like ephemeral and abstract here. He just seems a little less interested. The fire hasn't gone out, but like the competitive edge that he plays with doesn't seem as sharp. He came back, I think it was the Detroit game, and JJ's got like the report going into the fourth quarter where they're down a bunch, and he like tries to lead them in a fake comeback that almost actually works out. And Jeremiah's talking about how he's the one who's like motivating everybody and saying, we've got to get back in this. And I'm not saying I'm not at the games. I can't see what he's doing on the sideline, but when I watch him sort of float around the court, I have not seen again that fieriness that I associate with Ben. And maybe you see that entirely differently. I mean, I want to hear your theory about this though. Obviously, we're talking about a guy who had like an extremely high to start the season. Yep. But the truth is that since that very high, he and Nembhard are scoring at about the same rate, like on a per possession basis. And that's not very good, because even still, like, turnovers way too high. Like some of the Ben Mathurin problems just haven't gone anywhere. And that really is disappointing. I mean, the rate that he's improving is like this very slow and methodical rate. And it's like, he'll be a great player in 4 or 5 years.
He's really good now, to be clear. Like, he does some stuff that no one else on the team can do. But yes, there are certainly lumps of late. JJ was right, by the way. So I also am at these games. And in that Detroit game, I've never seen him do this. They were losing. Someone committed a foul on the Pacers. The Pistons were headed to the free throw line. And Ben Mathurin huddled up the whole team under the basket and did a little pep talk during their comeback. And I was like, whoa, I've never seen him do that. Carlisle has commented on his maturity and leadership improvements. I can see that. That is a real thing that's happening for him. And after the game that night, they lost. And he's like, I truly believe we can win 10 games in a row. I think we can respond and do that thing. And that obviously did not happen. But he has that sort of maturity, swagger, confidence, etc. still with him. But what you said about that and about him feeling less fiery is sort of a chicken and the egg for me with him right now. What's coming first? Is Bennedict Mathurin less fiery so he doesn't feel as involved, or is less involvement making Ben Mathurin feel less fiery? You know what I mean? I could see how either would be the answer. So this isn't good. What I'm about to do is not good analysis for a 5-game sample. I'm just going to spit some numbers at you, okay? I know everybody loves spitting numbers. Last 5 games for the Pacers, Ben Mathurin has taken 11.4 shots per game. That's not bad. On the season, he's at a little over 13.6. So he's down 2 shots. That's the biggest difference of anyone, but it's not like all of a sudden some one guy is taking way more than you're accustomed to seeing. Nembhard's about 1 higher. Siakam's right at his average. Huff's right at his average. Jarris is below his average. McConnell's a little below his average. So a little bit of the spray is like Garrison Matthews is playing. A little bit of his Ethan Thompson is playing. A lot of those guys weren't on the team, but they're replacing Ben Shepherd's shots, right? Almost to an exact number of shots per game. So it's just like a little bit, just a little, it's not a lot, just a little bit of his involvement has shifted to others. And that he has been efficient this year. So that I don't even know that that's a good thing, but I wonder if it's, what I asked is already my theory, but which one of those, it's one of those two things. Is it, okay, he's taking less shots. Is it the team not keeping him involved and that's kind of subduing him? Or is it the other way where he is already that, and so he isn't doing the things needed to become involved? And I'll say this to his credit, the Wizards guarded him off ball tighter than a lot of teams have that I've seen. They would not let him get going in off ball actions. And that led me to thinking the first one, that he's being prevented from being involved in a way, and that makes it harder for him to, every player forever has told you how much better they feel in a basketball game when they touch the ball a lot, right? They just touch it. And that's one of Haliburton's superpowers. And if he can't touch it, sometimes no fault of his own, he can't force someone to pass it to him. He can't force a defender to let him get open. Then maybe that does hurt him a little bit. And he's played well in 2 of these games. Anyway, that was a lot of rambling and not a lot of actual great stats, but I wanted to check the shots of late, and it is down. And some of that is that he's gotten to the line a bunch, to see where is this actually going? Where is the ball going instead? And obviously it's not great if it's going away from a young player who's talented, but why? What does that mean? So what's actually coming first would be my question there. What is the chicken or the egg?
It's funny. When I've been watching these games, I have been thinking to myself, they need to run more sets for Ben.
Agreed.
So you say that it's just funny because it's like you're reading my mind. I mean, obviously the Philadelphia game was
that was bad.
Was especially
that was the worst
bad
game of the season.
Yeah, but I still think one of the things that I was really hoping to see in the season, and I talked about Andrew a little bit already. One of the things I really wanted to see this season was 2-man actions between Mathurin and Nembhard. And I don't know which way this chicken and the egg goes, but I still don't think that they play terribly well together. I don't think that, I see very few actions that are really designed to utilize Ben's downhill threat. And probably part of the issue here is that you need Ben to be the threat and Andrew to be manipulating for such actions to work. And there really isn't enough spacing anywhere else on the court to pull defenses away from the paint, which both of them would need. All of these are problems, but still I would like to see them involved together more often. And I would like to see, I would like to see Andrew earlier on in the games play more of a like classic point guard role of like getting others involved before he gets himself involved. And I think that would help somebody like Ben to early in the game get in the rhythm of
I like that.
Playing through sets and actions, seeing the ball go in, knowing that things are coming to him, and then he can like feel it out a little bit more after that. Whereas Nembhard, I'm not quite as in fact, I would kind of prefer if he wasn't hunting his own shot early in the game. I'd really like him to sort of slow that down a little. But the chicken and the egg and look, chicken and the egg as well. Like the other factor here is that they're losing games. And they did, he's obviously a confident guy, so he's going to say we can run off 10 in a row. And okay, fine. But they also are just like plainly not a good team. And the teams that they beat are not good teams either. I mean, Chicago is quite bad. I mean, these other
opponents, Golden State their best win, and they're under 500 now.
Yeah, totally. So I mean, look, there is just it just saps your energy. Losing sucks. Yep. And so there is like a human part of this too, where it's like he's coming back. He's in it this year where he needs to prove both for himself and for the team, especially for himself, what he can be in the league. And so he's like extra fired up. And I would just hope that he, it's like, it's funny to say this, but I need him to tap into that selfishness a bit and remember what's like
the opposite of the usual critique there.
Opposite of the usual critique. Yeah. I need him to remember what's at stake this season and kind of go for it a little bit more, because ironically, after everything that I said, earlier on, Andrew is having this rough year, but he fits so well with Ty. There is part of me, actually probably most of me. The history of returns from Achilles injuries is pretty bad. Now, even if you remove like the very most extreme examples, like older players and whatever, one of the we should expect Tyrese Haliburton in at least two areas to take a step back: rim pressure and games played. Those two almost certainly are going to go down, even if all other parts of his game are the same. And when he misses games and when he can't get to the rim, Ben Mathurin's ability to be, at many points in his career, better without Tyrese than with him, and to continue to drive and draw fouls when he drives, in some ways is actually a little bit better. Like, it's good to see that he can continue playing at this level with more defensive attention, assuming he can continue to do so for the rest of the year. In some ways, that's a very useful thing for the team to learn about his game. And he has, his ability to draw free throws, waxed and waned a little bit in his career, but it's back.
It is very back. Okay, I have many things to respond to that you just said. One is I agree with your last point there. Two is when it comes to Drew and early initiation, that is what I kind of mean about the Haliburton superpower. Like Rick Carlisle just talked about how important first quarters are. How often does Tyrese get going later in the game because early he's feeling out what's going on, he's distributing, everybody's touching the ball, everybody feels good, and then at some point he'll have his explosion and he'll have 15 assists. Right? That's hard to do. Not no one, but very few players can do that and keep their own rhythm and feel alive in the way he can. They've been missing that this year. Something else you mentioned that I thought about the other day that I haven't really had a space to talk about. You mentioned the two-man actions between Nembhard and Mathurin. How well do you remember opening night? Mathurin was balling, and they just freestyled the Siakam Mathurin two-man game stuff for a quarter and a half plus an overtime, and it worked over and over. Have they done that at all again? Once? No, hardly at all.
There's a lot of ISO. It was kind of ugly to watch.
But it worked.
From a basketball purist in me. Yeah. Aesthetically, maybe not my favorite basketball, but you're trying to win the game, and it was working. Yeah, that's a very good example.
They screened for each other. I'm not saying they've never interacted, but that was all they did for 20 minutes of an NBA game, right? And we've barely seen that. So tapping into that kind of stuff, how would that make him look and feel? Would it add some fire? And I don't even know that I want to accuse him of being floaty and not fiery. That's just not really who he is, but it has not felt the same. And I think everybody is feeling that way. A lot of comments on my yesterday YouTube video about the trade stuff was like that. It's I was very confident in how Ben was playing and his growth early in the season, but the last couple of games have shaken that for a lot of fans. So good time to talk about him. I'll be very curious how he looks against the Knicks. He destroyed the Knicks a lot last season. and they need him to play very well if they're going to beat New York, who could be exhausted, Kyle, after the mental strain of going to Vegas and playing in the NBA Cup Finals on a Tuesday. So good time to draw the Knicks, huh?
Looking for a triple overtime game. The Wemby minutes restriction sucks, but
it's
by the time you're listening to this tomorrow, you will know what happened.
I'm so excited. I love the Cup. I'm sorry that no one else loves the Cup. I love the Cup. Kyle, this was great. Thank you for the time. I'm sure a lot of people are going to walk away from this podcast going, "Oh God, that wasn't very happy."
You've called me the wet blanket of the Locked On Pacers podcast before, so I can handle it.
I did do that. I have no regrets about doing so. I think you wear it with pride now, so I don't
emphatically
feel bad about it at all.
Emphatically.
Tomorrow, I got to figure out what to talk about for one more show before the break ends. We're going to talk about Gabe McLaughlin for sure, who is on the Pacers now on a 10-day hardship deal. So look forward to that. He was incredibly fun to get to know on his first day of practice. I highly encourage everybody to watch the things he had to say. I don't know if I'll actually play or not, but we'll get to that tomorrow and other stuff. So if you have any ideas at listener, let me know. Thank you all so much for listening today. Kyle, where can people find you and the things you say and write and talk about regarding the Indiana Pacers?
That next game you mentioned, I will be live with Derek Kramer post game to recap that. That really, I mean, I'm always excited to play the Knicks. I hope the team gets up for that as well. I hope they do. And currently, unfortunately, the Pacers Recap live show is mired in basketball hell. But slowly and surely, we aim to crawl out.
The background, it makes me laugh every single time.
Yeah, we've talked about if the season continues to go off the rails and we have to descend deeper into hell, the new images that may make appearances in the background of our show.
Can I make submittals?
Oh yes.
Okay, I'll contact my guys. Yes. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow talking more Pacers.